Hey, everybody. Welcome once again to Alley Talk here on Philly Sports Network. I, of course, as usual, am your host, Kyle Fisher. Uh, I'll be joined by Corey Nido later. We'll be talking all things Philly as we do every single Friday here on YouTube, on all of Philly Sports Network's social media. Super excited for everybody to join us this week. We're going to get started in a moment here with some information about Bryce Harper. He has been absolutely electric carrying the Phillies as of late and reached some wonderful milestones. We'll get into a little bit of talk about the Red Sox series. We had some fun, wacky moments in that series. Still won the series despite the disappointing ending on Wednesday. And obviously, Phillies with a tough challenge ahead as they head to New York for a 3-game set against those New York Yankees this weekend. Some trades have already happened. The New York Mets made a bullpen improvement. The Mariners out west are acquiring sluggers, and that will not be the final slugger moved. We will see what the Phillies end up doing. We'll get to that in the second half. And in that half, that's when we'll talk to Corey Nido about some of the potential trade pieces or guys who could be helping the Phillies after the July 31st trade deadline in Andrew Painter and Justin Crawford. He was up in Lehigh Valley this week for Painter's last start. And he had a pretty good one, throwing that curveball a lot. We'll let Corey jump on a little bit later and break things down for us. Once again, as usual, if you're just joining us, we just got getting started out of the gate here. My name is Kyle Fisher. You can find me right here at Kyle Fisher45 on all socials, at Kyle Fisher Media on YouTube. And of course, Philly Sports Network. Follow our crack Phillies team all season long at Philadelphia SN, at Philly Sports Network on X and Blue Sky. Talking about Bryce Harper, we talked a couple weeks ago about how Bryce Harper is the guy, at least I felt. We were on with Chris Babos and Ben Silver were both on with me a week ago, and I said that Bryce Harper was the guy that had to carry this team, which makes a lot of sense. It seems like the easy answer on the surface, but Bryce Harper is Bryce Harper. He was brought in here to be the catalyst for change. He was brought in here to be the guy that drew championship-level crowds and championship talent around him onto the roster. And so far, he has been as advertised. Some injuries here and there, but everything that you would want out of a superstar is what you've gotten out of Bryce Harper thus far in a Phillies uniform. He seems to be back healthy as ever on a torrid pace as of late. Wednesday, the big moment in the first inning off of right-hander Lucas Giolito for the Red Sox. He goes back-to-back with Kyle Schwarber, his 350th career home run. An incredible moment. Obviously, he was excited about it, said it was pretty awesome on an individual note. A little bummed that it came in a loss, of course. But some great notes about Harper's game. He's been absolutely incredible. Let's take a look real quick at some of the numbers. So earlier this season, he reached the 1,000 RBI milestone. He now has crossed that 350 career home run milestone. Over the last 10 games, he's batting .400 with 9 doubles, 5 home runs, 8 RBIs, and a 1.467 OPS. Absolutely torrid pace for the showman, as he calls himself. He is eloquently referred to as the showman, and rightfully so, because the guy shows up in the biggest moments on the regular. Seeing that those two milestones have been passed, I did a little cross-reference with a few different lists that I saw. Bryce, he's the 8th active player to reach 350 home runs. He's the youngest active player to do so. He is now just the 10th player in Major League history to reach these milestones before the age of 33. 350 homers, 1,000 RBIs, 1,000 walks, 1,000 runs scored. Listen to this company that he's keeping. I mean, absolutely incredible what this guy has done. Let's take a look at the full list. I did one in alphabetical order, so it's easy for everybody to read. The Barry Bonds, who, if not for steroid issues, would be in the Hall of Fame. Jimmy Fox, Hall of Famer. Lou Gehrig, Hall of Famer. Bryce Harper now joins the list. Mickey Mantle, Hall of Famer. Eddie Matthews, Hall of Famer. Mel Ott, Hall of Famer. Albert Pujols, soon to be Hall of Famer. Babe Ruth, of course, Hall of Famer. Jim Thome, former Philly great, also a Hall of Famer. It doesn't get better than what Bryce Harper has given you on the baseball field. And before we dive into what it means for the Phillies this season, I just want to take a minute, man, because Bryce Harper, he's talked about in the past how the most challenging part of his career was getting here, right? He was on the cover of ESPN, the magazine, at 17, Sports Illustrated at 16. The guy has done everything that you expected him to be, despite some struggles along the way, despite major injuries, despite missing significant time. He still is on an absolute Hall of Fame pace. And if he can stay healthy from here on out, there's no reason that he won't be in Cooperstown. And the thing that people, I think, need to remember, I know that it's easy to get wrapped up in the day to day. It's easy to get wrapped up in, well, this guy is, I'm trying to win championships. Who cares about what he does? Take a minute, step back, and remind yourself that Bryce Harper will be donning a Phillies hat in Cooperstown one day. How many times do you get to say, as a fan of a team, that I'm watching someone who I know for a fact will be in the Hall of Fame? We had an incredible era of Phillies fandom back in the 06 to 2012 stretch. You had Jimmy Rollins, you had Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, Cole Hamels. Eventually, you got Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, Roy Oswalt. But that core of Phillies players, and could you make an argument for some of them? Sure, their peaks were incredible, but at no point did I think, maybe Utley before he started getting injured regularly and ended up being traded to Los Angeles, did I think that, oh, and Howard as well, before he tore his Achilles, I think everybody thought, man, this could be a guy who gets there one day. But thought they would all be Hall of Great, Phillies Wall of Famers. I don't know if anybody expected Hall of Fame for those guys as their careers went on, or shortly after they left Philadelphia. And this guy, it's obvious, and he has quite a few years left in a Phillies uniform. So to be able to appreciate greatness while it's in front of you, while it's happening, he basically, like, that era of Phillies before, where they won the World Series, that young core that they refused to trade, wanted to build around, that young core, that is an era. And this is essentially the Bryce Harper era, because it all starts and ends with him. He's brought in first. That attracts JT Realmuto. Obviously, they trade for him. That attracts him and wants him to stay. That attracts a Zach Wheeler in free agency. That attracts a Castellanos and a Schwarber to come here. And the rest is history. They've been on this great run, one of the best runs that they've had in franchise history. So I want everybody to be able to take a moment and really enjoy what Bryce Harper has been able to do for this franchise, because it has been absolutely incredible to watch him. And sometimes you have to remind yourself, just because he didn't start his career here does not mean that he is not going to be in Cooperstown wearing a Phillies hat, a Phillies uniform. He is Mr. Philly at this point. He really embraced the city day one. It's been absolutely fun to watch. Just not much more else to be said about Bryce Harper, but he's everything you could possibly ask for in a superstar. He has lived up to the hype and then some, and there's no reason to think that he won't continue to do so. Speaking for this season, I think he's definitely a guy that they may have to manage. I know that he said that when he first got activated again from the injured list. He said that this could be something that we need to manage throughout, so they'll have to be careful with that wrist. I believe it was Matt Gelb that asked Rob Thompson before Wednesday's contest that on Tuesday night he saw Harper kind of flexing the wrist a little bit, but Thompson heard no reports, and we saw what Harper was able to do on Wednesday evening. So obviously didn't impact him, but it'll be something that they'll have to monitor just to be safe. But outside of what I think that first week when he came back, he sat out one game. And since then, he keeps talking about how healthy he feels, how good he feels. If he stays this hot, there's no reason to think that he can't carry this offense the rest of the year, regardless of what happens at the deadline, because we know the sluggers that they have. Just looking since the All-Star break, he's hitting. Since the All-Star break, they've played 6 games. He has 9 hits, hitting .375, 8 of which are extra base hits, 4 doubles, 4 homers. So if there's any doubt to this guy being back, I think he's quelled all concerns. Hitting .323 in the month of July so far with a .710 slugging percentage. Not an OPS, a slugging percentage. So the guy has been absolutely on fire, and just it really has been a pleasure to have been able to watch him these few years, cover him these last couple as a member of the Philly Sports Network staff. Absolutely great stuff from Harper, and excited for him as an individual, and excited for what this means for the Phillies moving forward. He's obviously a guy who lives for the moment. They're headed to Yankee Stadium this weekend, and he likes playing in the Bronx. He's done pretty well there, hitting over 300. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the exact numbers that he's had against the Yankees so far, but in the new Yankee Stadium. But obviously going to be a star-studded weekend. They're on Apple TV this weekend. You have some huge star power. Harper versus Judge, some good starters, especially Carlos Rodon and Zach Wheeler on Sunday. So should be a really good one. Phillies sending tonight Taijuan Walker to the mound, who has once again rejoined the Phillies rotation after some struggles from young Mick Abel and with Aaron Nola still being on the shelf. So we're going to have to see how that plays out for the Phillies. He'll be opposed by Will Warren, who I don't know a whole lot about. So we're going to pull up his page real quick and see what Will Warren is bringing to the table for the Phillies so far, for the Yankees so far this season. Warren in his second season with the Yanks, he is 6-5 with a 4.91 ERA and 21 games started. Only had 5 starts last year, 6 total appearances. The youngster has not. I guess he did have a little bit of experience. Yeah, 1 game against the Phillies. Bohm is the only person with an extra base hit off of him. Obviously won't be in the lineup due to the injury. Castellanos 0 for 2. Harper 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Marsh 0 for 3. Real Muto 2 for 2, and he's been scorching hot as of late. So that is a promising development when JT starts to hit the ball. Schwarber's been able to hit the ball a little bit again. Marsh has been pretty consistent. Kepler and Rojas are a different story. Stott had a good game on Wednesday, but to match the output that he had on Wednesday, you'd have to go back 20 games. So not promising overall for the offense as of late, but we'll have to see how that goes. Like I said, JT, 2 for 2. Harper, again, 2 strikeouts, 0 for 3. Could depend on when he saw them. So we'll have to see what that looks like at the end of the day. But Will Warren, let's see. I do want to find the pitching appearance that he had against the Phillies, just so we can see what the game was like. It was back in July of last year. 5 1/3 innings, 4 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. Wow, 4 earned runs, and nobody seemed to hit him well. Who hit this guy? Let's take a look. Schwarber went 1 for 3 in the game with 3 strikeouts. What is going on here? Who did the damage? I guess Bohm. Castellanos, Weston Wilson had an appearance. Bryson Stott did all right. Austin Hayes had 4 RBIs in the game. Oh, Austin Hayes, where are you when we need you, sir? Austin Hayes, let's take a look. He hit a home run. Was it a grand slam? That's the question. Hayes, home run, 1, 2. So a 3-run shot. He had another hit to get that 4th RBI. So Austin Hayes doing all the damage against Will Warren. But again, right-handed pitcher for the Yankees should be promising for the Phillies. They do very well against right-handed starters. The big concern for them is obviously against left-handers. They have struggled against left-handers this year. But Taijuan Walker, again, on the mound for the Phillies. I mean, there's not much you can say about him. He's a gamer. He's been very consistent for this team when they've needed him the most. I want to take a look at his splits as a starter versus a reliever this year, because the one thing that Rob Thompson said as the season started was that they wanted to avoid flip-flopping him. Once they were ready for the bullpen, they wanted him to stay there. And as we know, a lot can happen during the baseball season. They were not able to live up to that promise, and Walker hasn't really faltered like you thought he might, especially after watching last season. I think we can all agree that last season, whatever was plaguing him is definitely not bothering him this year. He's looking a lot closer to what he did 2 years ago as opposed to last season. Everybody in that clubhouse has all the faith in the world in him. You talk to anybody on that team. Matt Strahm, who's made a similar transition, talked about how tough of a transition that truly can be, and how Ty is just, hey, okay, I'm in the bullpen this week. What's up? What do we got to do? He's a guy who's going to say he's ready, whether he's ready or not. He's going to do what the team needs to do. And nobody has come out and said this, but I really think that not being on that postseason roster 2 seasons ago, despite being one of the wins leaders on the team. That really aided him, and I think that he's going to do everything that he can when the team asks of him to prove that he is valuable enough to be on that postseason roster. If it happens, it happens, right? There's a chance that he still doesn't make it, but he's going to do everything in his power to prove that he belongs on this championship caliber team. Just want to take a look now at those splits as a starter versus a reliever. Where are that? Here we go. Starter as a reliever. Okay. As a starter, he has 10 starts on the season, a 3.77 ERA. He's allowed 5 homers, 37 strikeouts to 19 walks, a 1.5 WHIP. Not great, but it's what you couldn't really ask for better results out of somebody who is a spot starter essentially at this point in his career with how he's pitched the last couple seasons. 3.77 ERA. I mean, again, there's not really much to argue. His OPS plus against is a little above league average, 110. If you were a hitter and you had a 110 OPS plus, people would be like, "Oh, it's a decent season." It's not incredible. So he's handling lineups pretty well. The batting average is a little high, slugging is a little high. The on base percentage as a starter has gotten high, but he really has been pitching well as of late. His last couple starts, he allowed three earned runs against the Angels, 2 homers, but he's been able to limit the home runs overall when he was pitching out of the bullpen at the very least. The start before that against the Giants, only 1 earned run on 2 hits over 4 innings. So really giving you what you could ask for out of a guy who has had to be shortened up and then stretched out a couple different times this season. At one point, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, he hadn't, in any appearance, the only time he gave up an earned run outside of one start, the only time he gave up any earned runs was when he gave up a home run. And out of the bullpen, he had limited that. So he's had 11 games out of the bullpen. It is a total of 17 innings, so a lot of multi-inning outings, 4 homers, obviously a lot overall. But when you're making shorter appearances, some of those appearances are 2/3 of an inning, some of them are 2. So it really does depend on what he's being asked of each game. And to see what he's been able to do, come in with a lead and hold things down, come in and do mop-up duty, sometimes that's necessary. And he's been able to do it. You never hear a complaint out of the guy. All he wants to do is get better. So for somebody who has been put in a position that I think nobody expected him to be in when he signed with Philadelphia 2 years ago, and especially after seeing him win double-digit games in his first season in red pinstripes, what he's done has been absolutely incredible. I do want to see what he does, what he's done in his career against the Yankees or up in Yankee Stadium. So let's take a look at that real quick. Didn't have this ready, of course, but we'll going on the fly here as we like to do here on Philly Sports Network. Splits career. Here we go. Yankee Stadium. Where are we at? I know that like I said, his numbers out of the bullpen have been good. I don't think you can expect more than 3 or 4 innings out of him. So obviously you're going to see the likes of Seth Johnson. You're going to see a big bullpen day, and they did use a lot of bullpen in that extra inning loss on Wednesday. But with the day off, Thompson likely feels comfortable going to his go-to guys, if you will. Let's see. Where do we stand? Ballparks. Here we go. Baseball Reference, your best friend if you talk sports. Let's see. Yankee Stadium. Boom. Okay, a 4.86 ERA. Not ideal, but 4.86 ERA in 16 2/3. 1.38 WHIP, so a little bit better than what he's done. The problem with Yankee Stadium is we know the propensity for those in that stadium for the long ball, and his struggle has been when he gives up the long ball. It's usually a really quick outing for one Taijuan Walker. So we'll see how that goes. We'll get into the rest of the weekend in a minute. Ranger Suarez going Saturday, opposed by Marcus Stroman, who's been a pretty solid pitcher for the Yankees as of late since coming off of the injured list himself. And then obviously Sunday's the big ticket one. Zach Wheeler facing off against Carlos Rodon for the Yankees. So should be an exciting one through the weekend. We'll dive more into the matchup in a little bit. What I do want to do is pivot real quick because we have our guy, Corey Naito, on the line, and we don't have him too long. So I want to bring him in. Corey, are you ready? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready, and I'll bring you in, man. All right. bringing my guy Corey Nido in. Corey, my man, how you doing on this fine Friday? I'm not hearing you if you're talking. So if all right, we're gonna let Corey figure it out. Corey not only is familiar with the Yankees, so should be somebody who can weigh in a little bit this weekend. But Corey is our go-to guy here at Philly Sports Network for all things Lehigh Valley. He has been on the Otto Kemp train all season. He was a lot of great quotes from Otto Kemp prior to him being called up came from Corey, and those quotes used across the board for other publications. Corey has been on Andrew Painter since the moment he got called up to AAA. He's been written some great stuff about Justin Crawford. So with both of those guys being mentioned as potential players that could be with the Phillies after the trade deadline or potentially included in trades themselves, obviously he's a good guy to talk to. So Corey is going to figure out some technical issues, and he'll be back with us in a moment. Like I said, Taijuan Walker going tonight. We'll have to see how that goes. Could be a long bullpen day. If he can limit the home run, that will be key for the Phillies. It's going to be a tough one, but Will Warren kind of in a similar situation, not necessarily pitching lights out. We'll have to see what he does. I do want to take a look at Walker's splits as far as versus righties and lefties this season, because they have two big boppers in the middle of that lineup with Judge and Bellinger. Chisholm, obviously, it will come into play as well. He can hit the ball out of the ballpark. Surprisingly, a little bit better against left-handers this year. So we'll have to see. Yeah. OPS plus under 100 against lefties, about 109 against righties, a BABIP of 292. And we know what Aaron Judge has done against everybody, regardless of how good they are at one side versus the other. So for a guy who has a propensity to give up the home run versus a guy who is one of the best home run hitters of a generation, could be disastrous for Walker. But we know he's a gamer and he's going to go out there. He knows how to pitch. I know that sounds ridiculous. There's a distinct difference between throwers and pitchers. He's a veteran. He knows how to pitch, so we'll have to see how that turns out. The rest of the weekend, we talked about Ranger Suarez will go up against, excuse me, who is he playing? Yeah, Ranger Suarez against Marcus Stroman. I do want to take a look at Marcus Stroman's numbers real quick. Let's take a look at that, because I've read that he's been doing really well since the return from the injured list. I want to see exactly how well. So let's take a look at his game log. It could be a similar situation to what the Phillies have with Walker, where he's just he's giving them what they need, even if the numbers don't jump off the page. Oh man, a couple really good starts so far in July. Against some good competition as well. Mets, Mariners, Naylor trade, and the Braves this past weekend. He's got a 3.38 ERA in the month of July. Gave up 3 to the Mets, 2 to Seattle, both 5-inning outings, and then scattered 5 hits and no walks against Atlanta, allowing just 1 run on a solo shot. So been pitching pretty well for them as of late. Only allowed 1 earned run in 5 innings in his last start in June as well. So he's been on a little 4 start stretch where he's looked really good. He is right-hander, so that obviously lends itself to Phillies pitching very well against him, or hitting very well against him, rather. Excuse me. Ranger Suarez, on the other hand, up until his last start, looked like he would be unstoppable, just like he did at the beginning of last season. All the talk was All-Star snub, should have made the All-Star game. He did go out there against the Angels and get hit around quite a bit. 6 earned runs, 4 walks, 8 hits, only 4 strikeouts. So not the best game for Mr. Suarez, Mr. Rager. But we know that he's pitched extremely well this year, and there's no reason to think that he can't bounce back as well. His splits, again, we'll look at how he's done against the Yankees in his career specifically. Let's go see how he's done against this lineup, because I know he's faced some guys in this lineup before. Ranger Suarez here. Let's see those numbers versus the Yanks. Give us what we need, people. Sorry, slow internet day. Hasn't faced the whole lineup, but I do have the numbers here. A guy he's probably most familiar with from Chisholm's time in the Miami organization. Uh, Jazz is 4 for 15 with a double against him, 5 strikeouts, no walks. Paul Goldschmidt's 1 for 4 with a double. Trent Grisham, who's having a career year, and we'll get to Trent Grisham a little bit later, 2 for 9 against him with a home run. So somebody to keep an eye on. Judge just 1 for 1. Stanton 0 for 1. So not much exposure against those guys. As a reminder, he's pitched a lot out of the bullpen in the past. So likely those two just a bullpen appearance. Cody Bellinger's 3 for 10 with 2 doubles. So Bellinger, despite Ranger having the platoon advantage left on left, has handled him well. Chisholm, again, 4 for 15 pitching, has hit okay against him as well. Another left on left. So those two guys, we'll have to see what Grisham, Goldschmidt, and Judge do. We know what kind of power those guys have. Grisham having an incredible season for himself. Not necessarily a guy you think of as an 830 OPS guy, but really hitting the ball out of the ballpark. 17 homers to just 9 doubles. 17 homers is the most he's ever had in a season back with San Diego in 2022. And he's at 17 already through 85 games. So somebody to keep an eye on for sure for Rangers. Somebody, and we'll get to it in a minute because I saw a crazy trade scenario, a 3-team trade that lands the Phillies with Trent Grisham. So we'll get to that in a minute. But Corey, I think he's back on the stage. We're going to let him back in a minute. He's figuring out his camera. Hopefully his audio is all fixed because we definitely want to dive into those prospects while we have some time with our guy, Corey. So, Corey, give me the thumbs up when you're all set, and I'll bring you back on. No rush, though, if you need a minute. All right. Welcoming Corey back. It looks like we're to the phone, but no problem there, Corey. How we doing on this fine Friday, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Sorry about old, and I don't know if my microphone settings are all out of whack, but gonna go the old-fashioned way with the phone here, I guess.
Hey, that's quite all right, man. I'd rather you be a little pixelated on the phone than not have you at all, because we know that you were up there in Lehigh Valley, and to be fair to me, you pixelated makes more eyes on me. You know, you can't have your handsome face taking the eyes off.
You're probably the better looking one of the two of us, anyway.
Oh, I don't know about that, Corey. I don't know about that, but I appreciate the compliment. That's not why I brought you in, though. I didn't bring you in to boost my ego. I brought you in to talk ball, my friend. So you were up there this week, Lehigh Valley. We talked about some of the stuff you saw from Painter. I told the audience, if they're not familiar with you already, first off, go follow our guy. Great stuff for our Eagles team as training camp heats up. And obviously, he's our go-to guy for all things Lehigh Valley for the Phillies team as well. Does some great work at the major league level, but he's our go-to guy for things down AAA. Andrew Painter is a name that everybody has become familiar with. We are near the end of July-ish, Corey, and some struggles from Painter at times, but he seemed to do really well this week. I'm going to just back out and let you tell us what you saw from Andrew Painter the other day up in Lehigh Valley.
Yeah, I mean, he pitched well last night. First time this season he went 6 innings. First 3 innings he used 3 strikeouts. The fourth inning, it seems like the struggle Painter has been dealing with is when he has to go through the lineup a second time. It looked like that was going to be the case again in the 4th inning. Leadoff walk, and then he gave up a 2-homer to Ryan Mountcastle, who's on an MLB rehab assignment for the Orioles. And then he walked the next 2 batters. So you didn't think he was even going to get out of this 4th inning after he just cruised through the first 3 innings. He was able to buckle down, get a ground ball double play, and another ground out to limit the damage. And I asked him after the game, what was his mindset in that 4th inning after he was on a high, mowing them down and to completely a ball. And he said basically, I understood what the game situation is and what is dictating. He said, I knew I needed to get a ground ball out, so I threw a sinker hoping for a rollover, and that's what he got. He got a double play ball, and then he went on to retire the final 6 batters he faced to go 6 innings for the first time this season, which he told us after the game was a big deal. He said that was probably the biggest taking away point here for Painter in this start was, hey, I went 6 innings, and that's what I want to build on. So fastball sat 96, touched 97, 98. He threw more curveballs. He threw 19 of them last night. He only threw 5 in his previous start, and he told me that he's looking to use that curveball to kind of offset the fastball a little bit. He's been getting ambushed in predictable counts where these AAA hitters know he's coming with the fastball, and it's hurt him. He kept Norfolk off balance last night through the first round and then got into the groove again. So really promising sign for Andrew Painter. You mentioned it's July-ish and it's almost the end. Rob Thompson, the Phillies, they said they're not calling him up just because he's their top prospect or because he's a top 10 prospect in the game. He has to prove that he's ready and he has everything working. And he knows that he's still not a finished product by any means, but he's certainly happy and very positive after last night's outcome.
Good, yeah, and it really did seem like to see the joy in his face after such a good outing for him. You know, it was, whether it's the noise or whether it's just reflecting on himself after poor performances, it did seem like those poor performances had started to weigh on him a little bit. I think that the organization does a good job, and it seems that he does a good job of not putting pressure on himself to be, or at least he said the right things about a guy who had to come in and be the savior of the rotation or whatever the case may be. I think that they're taking the smart tactic and taking their time. He's not putting pressure on himself. But you really saw like the disappointment in his face after the last few outings. So to see him in a very positive mood and to see him trying different stuff, like you said, using the curveball at the rate that he did last night is something we really haven't seen from him. And that's a step that you take as you get ready to make the next step, right? So whether he's feeling comfortable or not, you know, I'm not treating it like spring training because it is real competition, but you hear about guys all the time in spring training working through things and wanting to try different stuff and try different approaches. And it worked last night. And he did just that. So anything else you saw from Painter that really stood out to you? Because just seeing the joy on his face in the videos you posted was enough for me to feel like, all right, he's heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, his sinker hit like 97 a couple times, which is pretty impressive. And I don't want to say it was surprising because it's averaging around 95-ish, according to Baseball Savant, but 97-mile-an-hour sinker to go with the fastball, that's a nice weapon. Also, just to put it out there on the record, he does not throw a cutter. Baseball Savant will pick it up as a cutter. But as a cutter, excuse me. But Sam Jelinek, the broadcaster for Lehigh Valley, asked Andrew, does he throw a cutter? And Andrew said no, that it's basically a different, tighter, sharper variety of his slider. So he's got two versions of his slider, a one that has more of a tight rotation and then one that's a little bit more loopy, not a curveball, but your more 3 to 7 profile, if you will, of a slider. So when you see a cutter, it's not technically a cutter, but he's throwing a slider in those instances. But nonetheless, he looked really good last night.
Okay, yeah, and if you've ever been interested in pitching nerddom like I have, go watch any video of Yu Darvish explaining the 12 different pitches he has, and like 3 of them are cutters or sliders. Like, right? I understand that, you know, he might not call it a cutter, but it's cool to have the 2 different versions. So if you are looking, that's a good note from Corey. If you're looking at Baseball Savant, it's not a traditional cutter like you might have seen from Mariano Rivera, or like when Cole Hamels added a cutter, or, you know, Zach Wheeler's cutter. It's going to be closer to that slider, which is a good note. It's definitely a breaking pitch instead of a fast pitch. So nice to see. I know that his name hasn't necessarily been included in trade rumors. He's probably the only Phillies untouchable, if we had to say that there's one. But one guy who's come up as either a guy that's either is likely not to be in Lehigh Valley once August 1st rolls around, one way or another, whether he's included in a trade or he's up at the big league level playing for Philadelphia, is Justin Crawford. A lot has been debated about him all season long. Big ground ball rate. Who knows what he's going to do at the major league level? It's not the same playing down there as it is at the major league level. And no matter what you say about the guy, yeah, okay, he hasn't been able to lift the ball as of yet. Slight improvements as of late, but not necessarily hitting line drives all over the place. But you can't deny he's hitting like 330 all season long. Most people fall off if that's going to be by accident, right? If it's, hey, high ground ball rate, you're getting lucky, they're going to make adjustments to you. And if defenses have started to make adjustments, then he's adjusted right back. It's been really fun to watch, and there's no reason to, if he's available and they need help in center field still, there's no reason to think that if he's not traded that he could be a weapon to help this team this year. I don't want to put pressure on the kid, because if he feels he still needs to figure things out, or the team does, you don't want him to get called up and be get in his own way or get whatever the case may be. Anyway, that's a lot of intro to say. The kid just continues to rake no matter what, and you've been there quite a few times to see him in person. You've talked to him. You've written about him. What do you got to tell people about Justin Crawford, whether it's as a prospect or as a potential major leaguer here for Philadelphia?
Yeah, I would be very shocked if he's playing for Lehigh Valley come August 1st, whether he's in Philadelphia or they shock us and he's part of a deal that was too good to be true and they had to include him to get them over this hump here to try and win a title with this core group. But last night, I mean, he hit the ball on the ground all three of the four at bats. The one was a slow chopper that got past the pitcher. Second baseman comes in charging, and Crawford beat it by a step and a half. I mean, his speed he's one of the fastest players in AAA. He's hitting 330 on the year. His OPS is at 848. He's getting on base 41% of the time. He's got 44 walks to 63 strikeouts, so that's not an awful strikeout to walk ratio. And oh, by the way, he has 31 stolen bases. I mean, this kid has literally done everything that you possibly can at the AAA level. And it was an aggressive assignment to start the year. A lot of people thought he was going to start in AA. He's only 21 years old. So he's doing all this as one of the younger players in the league. And he has just been really fun to watch. I think something that nobody really understands or realizes, because you're just looking at box scores and numbers and metrics, he sees the most pitches of almost any hitter in the International League. I
I
mean,
didn't know that.
this isn't a 3-4 pitch at bat guy, and he's either on or he's out. He works counts. He has 8, 9, 10 pitch at bats, and he draws a walk or he's able to get on. So I mean, this kid has a great knack of putting the ball in play. Is he going to hit 330 in the bigs? No, most likely not. But if he comes up and he hits 255, 260, plays solid defense, provides that stolen base threat, and is always a threat to put the ball in play, yeah, maybe the defense isn't great in AAA, but you're still forcing major league players to field the ball and throw cleanly on a guy who bolts down the first base line in 4 seconds. So, I mean, you're asking somebody to still make a clean play, and yeah, it's going to hurt his average a little bit. But I think if you're the Phillies, you have to see what this kid can do, especially if you're not planning to trade him this year. Even if he struggles, the value isn't going to dip that badly. He was just named a top 10 outfield prospect by MLB Pipeline. So not only is he a top 5 guy in your organization, not only is he a top 75 guy in the sport, he's now one of the top 10 outfielders across minor league baseball, and there's over 100 teams to choose from. So for me, this kid, yeah, he it's going to be unorthodox. It's not your launch angle. If you're a launch angle fan, he's going to make you want to put knives in your eyes. But it works because he has that speed. If he's hitting fly balls and he's not putting much pressure on the defense, the speed doesn't matter. So for me, I'm not that worried about it. And my other argument about the high ground ball rate, he is a career 320 hitter as a professional with that high ground ball rate. I know we don't love batting average and it's all OPS and all these other different metrics, but sometimes you just look at the old school stats that got us to this point. And it's hard to turn away as a 320 career hitter, regardless of what level he's at.
Especially in today's game, Corey. I mean, guys are not hitting for high batting averages like they used to. I mean, there's still a place for that. Look at what Luis Ariz did for a couple years. Absolutely no pop whatsoever, but he could place the ball almost where he wanted for a 2-season stretch. So to have a guy like that, and I think people forget the speed that this guy has. He's so young. He's still developing. Just like you said, if he gets called up, it doesn't mean that's the end all be all. If he calls up and he struggles, Look, they did it with Johan Rojas. You have an opportunity to send him down and you make another move in the offseason. But I think that you could see what he gives you this year if he doesn't end up somewhere else. One thing that interests me a lot, and I think that people also lose sight of this a lot, is not everybody on your team has to be a bopper. That's not how rosters are built.
What happened to the well-balanced lineup construction?
Exactly. It's literally what they asked Trey Turner to do to make them more well-balanced.
Right.
They said, don't be a slugger.
You put your on-base guys 1 and 2, your power hitters 3, 4, 5, your middling hitters that can do a little both 6 and 7, and your 8, 9 guys are to move guys over and turn the lineup over. So if you put a kid in like Justin Crawford, who's getting on base at 41% clip in AAA, say that gets down to 390, even 380. 38% of the time, if he's drawing walks, if he's getting on base, now you got a speedster on the bases. You're putting pressure on the defense, and now you got that top 3 in the Phillies lineup to do some damage with. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the negative is, especially if it seems like they're not trading him. His value isn't going to plummet, in my opinion.
Yeah, man, and it's funny you brought that up because I was talking to Brandon Marsh earlier this week for a different piece. I was asking him about the team welcoming back Weston Wilson, but I let it off. Just he's been hitting the ball really well. I asked him like, kind of what's been working for you, and he said, remembering that my job isn't to be Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos. He's like, I need to get on base for those guys. He's like, so if I need to sacrifice, and he even said it in quotes, he's like, sacrifice probably isn't the right word because I'm still going to go up there and try and hit a ball if the situation calls for it. But if I'm leading off an inning, my job is to get on base and allow those guys to do what they were paid the millions of dollars to do. I'm paraphrasing here. He didn't specify the money, but like he talked about that. He's like, I need to remember that that's not my job all the time. The situation calls for it, and I know that I'm a major league hitter. I can go out there and hit the ball. But if I need to get on base for the guys who run the show here, you know, we have some guys who are regular all-stars. We have a guy in the middle of that lineup who's on a Hall of Fame pace. I need to get on base for them for us to be successful, not try and match their output. And I think that that's something that when you go in with that right mindset, which Marsh has right now, you can see that it's paying off. He's hitting 300 since coming back from that injured list stint. He's been great. And if he moves over to left where his glove is better suited, and you have Justin Crawford, who's a great glove in center, both of those guys can cover so much ground. It can help make up for maybe some of the defensive inefficiencies, because I don't want to say he's bad, but some of the areas where Castellanos might lack, those guys can help cover that area a little bit better. And you add a guy who can get on base to the bottom of that lineup. Speed kills. We know what speed can do as far as impacting defenses. I don't care how good you are defensively. Speed will impact how you react to things. I always go back to this. Putting the ball in play and having speed means so much, and there's no better example than the Phillies against the Cardinals in the 22 postseason. They had Gold Glovers everywhere in that infield, and the way that the Phillies won that series was hitting balls through the infield, forcing Nolan Arenado and Brandon Donovan and Paul Goldschmidt to make plays that they would normally make, but Gene Segura putting pressure, Trey Turner putting pressure, Brandon Marsh, and all these guys put pressure on the defense, and it paid off. You need people who are willing to do that, and Justin Crawford has shown time and time again that he can. Like you said, a little bit earlier than anybody expected him to get called up to AAA, to start the year there and to just continue to do what he's done has been really impressive. So glad you were able to come on and talk about him, because you've seen him up close and personal. I have not. And to know that it's the same kind of vibe, watching him up close as opposed to, I'm only watching the good things in the highlights, and I'm excited about him. So whether it's to get a bigger impact bat or to be that catalyst at the bottom of the lineup to help turn things over, his value's sky high right now.
It is. And I just actually had somebody tweet on the video I posted of that chopper that I mentioned earlier that he beat out, that, they said this is not a major leaguer. So for all these Twitter scouts out there, I spoke to an American League scout on Crawford. He told me he's not concerned about the ground ball rate and that he needs to hit the ball on the ground. Now, this is an American League scout, so it's not an NL scout trying to, talk down on Crawford. It's from a team that has, no rivalry with the Phillies. And, yeah, there's going to be other scouts that say I'm concerned about it, of course. But how do we know he's not a major leaguer? He hasn't even been up yet. So these people that say, oh, he's not going to be a major leaguer, we have no idea what he's going to be. So to me, if you're in the stands at Citizens Bank Park in September and he legs out a six hopper in the hole at shortstop, are you going to boo him? Are you going to complain? Oh, I wasn't 107 miles off the bat. He stinks. No, you're going to cheer because the kid just got on base and now you've got something going offensively. So, let's hold our judgment and reservations. Do I think he's going to be an all-star? I have no idea. But he comes from good bloodlines. His father, Carl, was a phenomenal player in the 2000s for Tampa Bay, Boston, and the Dodgers. Let's just see what he can do. I mean, talking to this kid, he wants this. I mean, when we talked to him on right before opening day, he said, "Oh, I want to be in Philly tomorrow." Like, this is a guy that wants to be there. He wants to be a big leaguer, and he's done everything right. So, you can like him, you can not like him. That's obviously your judgment and your opinion, but I'm not writing the kid off before I see him actually do it against Major League pitching.
And look, if he was 24 to 26 and nearing the end of what a normal timeline would be for a guy with his prospect ranking to be called up, I might be a little bit more concerned. Like, man, he hasn't evolved. It's all ground balls. It's not. He has all the time in the world to develop. There's a certain thing that's like ball to bat skill is something that is extremely important. They talk all the time about. I mean, Aaron Judge made an adjustment to the bat waggle for him. It's not about a timing thing. It's get the bat here so it can go through the zone as long as possible. Bat to ball is important, and when you hit over 300 at any level, I don't care how effective the hits are or how hard the hits are or if they're on the line, in the air, on the ground. If you are putting the ball in play constantly and getting on base as a result, you're doing something right. And that skill is clearly his biggest weapon, tied with his speed. And at 21, that speed ain't going anywhere anytime soon, unless there's some major unforeseen injury, and nobody can expect that, regardless of whether you're looking at him as a future Philly or somebody to trade for. So I don't care what, like you said, if there's scouts out there, major league scouts who say, I'm not at 21 years old, I'm not worried about line drives or ground balls. I want him to put the ball in play. He's doing that in droves and he's getting results. Yes, to expect him to hit 330 in the major league level would be ridiculous. Just like anybody who expected Johan Rojas that year that he got called up when he was hitting over 300 to continue. Now, granted, he did, but it was part-time. To see him hit 300 was a surprise, and you see what he's done when given more time. It hasn't worked out that way, but he also was not putting the ball in play at the level that Justin Crawford was. He wasn't doing the things that Justin Crawford has been expected to do, and was never rated nearly as high as he is. So a lot of people want to look at that as the blueprint. Like, oh yeah, well, look what Rojas was supposed to do and look at what he's done. They're not the same guy. Like you said, hell, not the same bloodline. Look at his father. I know that they're not the same guy, but his dad was impressive to watch for years. So, obviously you're hoping for himself. You're hoping that he hopes to be up with the Phillies sooner rather than later, which would be great for him. But
his dad, just to point out, his dad, Carl, ended his career as a 290 hitter.
Oh no. Oh, darn. Wasn't 300.
Like,
Jeez.
What if, I'm not saying Crawford turns into this, but what if he becomes like a Juan Pierre 2.0?
I'd be so happy with that.
Right. Like what, because it's not new age baseball, I just don't know. And we talked about, like, it's okay to go against the grain. And yeah, I know metrics are a better way to dive, under the hood, and it kind of gives us a better picture. But sometimes you just got to let the guy ball out. You got to just let him be the player and what he does best. And if this is what he does best, yeah, he's probably not going to be a 30 homer center fielder, middle of the bat kind of guy, but he can still be successful. He can still be a valuable piece.
For sure. So like we said, whether it's with the Phillies or part of a major trade, don't expect to see it. If you're a fan of Lehigh Valley and you go to their games, I would not expect to see Justin Crawford come August 1st. Corey, how much longer do we have you for?
Probably about 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Okay, so trade deadline talk would take us way too far. So I wanted to wrap up the preview for the Yankees this weekend. I don't know how much you're willing to tell people about your connection to the Yankees. However, you do have some connection. You have watched the Yankees closely in the past. I'll let you take it from there. But how you feeling about this weekend series up in the Bronx, Phillies Yankees?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun one. I mean, tonight's pitching matchup isn't great. If you're a betting person, maybe take the over.
I think it's
At
10.5 is the over, and I'd still feel
Will
comfortable.
Warren and Taiwan Walker. For those unfamiliar with Will Warren, he's got good stuff, but he unravels quickly sometimes. So if he has one of those innings where he gives up 3-4 runs, you're already halfway there in the third inning to your total. But yeah, I think it's going to be good. The Yankees just traded for Ryan McMahon from Colorado to shore up the left
I
side.
didn't even see that, really.
Yeah, the left side of the infield. Surface numbers don't look great. It seems like he's a bit of a merchant of Coors Field. His home road splits are pretty appalling on the road side. But since May, I just saw a tweet. He's hitting 245. He's got more power numbers. So it's a move for the Yankees, who are trying to make another push. They're back in their woeful defensive slump, if you will. I don't really know how to describe it. It's
Yeah.
basically the World Series all over again right now. They made 7 errors in a pivotal 3-game series against Toronto, who's now leading the American League East. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a fun series. It's going to be hot in the boogie down Bronx, as they like to call it up there. But yeah, I mean, Carlos Rodon and is it Wheeler on the series
Yeah.
finale on Sunday? That should be a fun
Yes,
matchup.
sir.
Yeah, I mean, I think you go either way. Yankees split a 4-game set with Toronto, and the Phillies obviously took 2 of 3 against Boston. Well, yeah, I mean, there's going to be star power. If you haven't been able to see Aaron Judge a lot, it'll be tough, though. It's on Apple TV, which is a bummer. So if you don't have Apple
Yes, it
TV,
is.
I don't, maybe find alternative ways of viewing the game. But yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, man, it's funny because you go from an uninspiring Apple TV exclusive pitching matchup tonight, but Warren in his one appearance against the Phillies handled them pretty well. Taiwan Walker's been pitching pretty well for the Phillies, especially as of late. I think he had one rough start since rejoining the rotation, but overall, the big problem with him is when he limits the long ball, he generally keeps runs off the board, and Yankees Stadium is not an easy place to do that. So we'll have to see how that goes.
It's not, especially on a warm night. So we'll see. I mean, that's short. But my argument for that is the short porch is available for both teams at the plate.
Yes,
so,
sir.
everybody complains how Yankee Stadium is unfair and it's the Little League field, but the other team gets the chance to use that short porch just as much as the Yankees do in a game.
That's my argument too.
So,
and you know what? They're on the road. The one thing I'll say is they're on the road, and that seems to be where Trey Turner likes to hit his home runs. So I don't know what it is about hitting at Citizens Bank Park, because he still hits well, but he doesn't have a single home run at home. All double-digit of his home runs have come on the road this season.
I saw
with it being a shorter park, maybe we'll see that happen again this weekend.
I saw a tweet that the last home run hit by Trey Turner at CBP was when the Eagles were 2-1 of last season. That's pretty crazy.
Awesome. That's awesome. What he's up to, 11 homers on the season. All of them have come on the road. I think he's going to add to that this weekend too, playing in Yankee Stadium. But like you said, because it's available to both. That's why. So, one thing that surprised me, so Ranger Suarez going for the Phillies on Saturday had a little bit of a hiccup against the Angels, but had been pitching like one of the best pitchers in the universe before that. The Yankee hitters have done pretty well against him. Bellinger 3 for 10 with 2 doubles. Chisholm 4 for 15 from his time in Miami. Everybody else he's faced, I think, basically 1 or 2 games. Grisham's gotten him for a home run, but only 2 hits and 9 at bats. The more surprising thing to me, and I know he was a dominant pitcher for a small stretch there, but Marcus Stroman's numbers against this Phillies lineup are incredible. if you include guys, look, I'm looking at the summary from ESPN. This is going to include some pitchers and Alec Boehm, who isn't playing this weekend, but he's held him to a 173 average, a 228 on base, and a 230 slug in his career. That's crazy. For like when you think Marcus Stroman and you look at his numbers right now, you tend to forget how good he was previously. You forget how good he was at some of his old stops. He's held Harper to 2 hits in 16 at bats, Kepler to 2 hits in 15. Real Muto's the best hitter against him, 7 hits in 23. Nobody except for Nick Castellanos has a home run against him, and Casty's 3 for 24. So it's very surprising to see that. Now, I think with how he's pitched as of late, it could continue. But if you look at his numbers in a Yankee uniform, maybe you can't expect the same result. How are you feeling about Saturday's matchup? Those two guys who I think at times can show moments where they're really good. Maybe Suarez even better as of late, but two guys who kind of a question mark at times facing off on Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, for Stroman, it's weird. A lot of fans wanted him DFA'd this year. I mean, he got off to a tough start dealing with an injury, but over his last 4 outings, he's pitched to an even 3 ERA, which I didn't even realize he was pitching that well over his last 4 starts. So he's not going to blow Phillies hitters by with his stuff. He's kind of a nibbler. He really relies on his location. So it's almost kind of like Ranger Suarez, where when his location was off last time out, the velocity is not there to make up for it. And you saw what happened to Ranger. I mean, he got rocked. So that's exactly what could happen to Marcus Stroman. It takes a lot to have that pinpoint control against these two lineups. But I mean, I think it could go either way. I don't know if either team will sweep one another. I'd be very surprised if that happens. But I wouldn't be surprised if they take 2 or 3 pretty easy. I don't want to say easily, but I think that's the way it's going to go, and obviously it will if there's no sweep because there's only 3 games. But I would be shocked if either team swept, pretty much.
And we already mentioned it. Sunday's matchup: Zach Wheeler, Carlos Rodon. That should probably be the national game, if any. But you'll find it on NBC Sports Local in Philadelphia. Two guys. I mean, top of their game when it comes to starting pitching. We know how good Wheeler's been. Rodon overall having a really good season, maybe not as electric as his season with Chicago or San Fran, but fully rebounded from that first season of struggles in a Yankee uniform. A 3.10 ERA, a 1.05 WHIP for Rodon on the season. Wheeler is probably, outside of Paul Skeens, the NL Cy Young favorite. Maybe Christopher Sanchez on his heels, but 9-3, a 2.39 ERA this season. His numbers against the Yankee lineup, so it's a mixed bag. The lefties have seemed to get to him. Bellinger, 6 for 15 with 5 home runs. Zach Wheeler does not give up home runs like that, and Bellinger has 5 off of him. Jazz Chisholm, 6 for 20. 5 of his 6 hits are extra base hits. And then on the flip side, Aaron Judge, 1 for 8. Now, granted, that one hit's a home run, but 1 for 8. Paul Goldschmidt, 5 for 31. Stanton, 3 for 20. So, again, it's going to depend on if Wheeler can get these guys swinging out of the zone, because we know that especially Aaron Judge, but even guys like Goldschmidt, Bellinger, Chisholm, if you are close to the zone, anything in the zone, those guys can do some damage on. So if Wheeler can get those guys swinging out of the zone, I think that gives the Phillies the distinct advantage. But I mean, you could say that about any starting pitcher. On the flip side, even in Rodon's best seasons, the Phillies have seemed to hit him well. Castellanos, 5 for 13 with a homer. Schwarber, 3 for 10 with a homer. Kepler has struggled against him mightily, 1 for 15. Harper has only seen him in one game, 0 for 3. So we'll have to see. I think Real Muto's 2 for 8. So if he can continue to see the ball well. Bryson Stott, a guy who had a good game on Wednesday, but has really struggled as of late. He was 2 for 4 in the game, maybe 2 for 3, because I know Sosa ended up coming in, but 2 for he had 2 hits, 2 extra base hits, and a stolen base. You'd have to go back 20 games prior and combine his stats to reach those totals. So obviously been struggling, but that new dad energy is real. So we'll have to see if he can carry it with him up to Yankee Stadium this weekend. Who you liking on Sunday before we let you go, Corey?
Like for a win, to pick the win of that game.
Yeah, or who do you think is going to have a big game? But I meant who's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to go against Wheeler. If Rodon is on, though, it could be like a 1-0, 2-0, 2-1 type of game. So it might come down to who takes advantage of that short porch. Does Judge power one the opposite way, or does Schwarber hit one in the second deck? So I think that's definitely going to be the best game, and potentially for the rubber match of the 3-game set. So it'll be cool. A little reminiscent of the 2009 World Series. I was at Game 2 in that series when Pedro Martinez pitched and AJ Burnett. Fun fact: Alicia Keys and Jay-Z was the pregame entertainment. But yeah,
Oh.
it was. Yeah, they did Empire State of Mind. So
Yeah,
it
of
was
course.
pretty cool. But game was pretty fun too, if I remember, for certain fans. But yeah, it should be a fun one. I think I'm interested to see what the Phillies do here before the deadline, but this is definitely a really intriguing second half matchup right before the trade deadline ends. And your team is your team, and you got to roll with what you got. So I would probably lean Phillies in this series overall, just the way the Yankees have been playing lately. But they also have not struggled against teams that aren't in the AL East. They can't beat teams in the division, but they've been able to take care of teams outside the East. So who knows what happens?
Last one before I let you go. Ryan McMahon, I think a lot of people maybe expected the Yankees to be the ones who acquired Eugenio Suarez's services. Ryan McMahon seems to be the guy who's going to fill in at third base. Do you think that's it for the Yankees as far as bats go, or can we expect something else from New York before it's all said and done at the deadline?
Yeah, I mean, I think they need to address the bullpen. Their bullpen has been atrocious. Um, it just has not been good. Devin Williams has not been lights out like he was with Milwaukee. Luke Weaver has not been as good as he was last year. He was kind of the feel-good story for the Yankees and across Major League Baseball. I mean, this is a guy that was dropped by the Reds, goes to New York, and is closing out World Series games. So the back end of the bullpen's hurting. Their middle guys aren't really doing that well. So I think that's their main focus. I think the price tag for Suarez was just way too hefty. I was seeing rumors that they were looking for like Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones and Schlittler, who is one of their top pitching prospects right now. The kid's averaging 98, 99 with his fastball. So I don't think they want to get rid of him for a rental with Suarez. So I don't hate the move for McMahon for the Yankees. It makes sense. It shores up their defense on the left side. New York has become infamous for playing players out of their natural positions. Why? I have no idea, but they've had Jazz play third base after all spring training. He was working at second base because DJ LeMahieu, we all knew it as Yankee fans and as people who follow the Yankees too. DJ LeMahieu was just aging at a rapid pace. Like he just couldn't play third base, and they still went with it. So the Yankees aren't the Yankees of old, and I think people who follow baseball will know that. I don't expect them to make a huge deal, especially with this market. I don't really love a lot of the players on this market. Suarez is probably the most impactful bat, but he also strikes out a ton, but he also doesn't play great defense. However, you're going to turn a blind eye when the guy's on pace for like 50 some home runs and 140 RBI. So you're going to
Yeah,
trade that all. But I think the Yankees go get a couple of bullpen pieces. I'm just not sure who. I did see that there's a link where they might pull something for Duran. It sounds like the Twins want two top 100 prospects for either Duran or Jax. I wrote a potential trade proposal for the Phillies where they send Aiden Miller and Eduardo Taillon over there to Minnesota. If you want to check that out on Philly Sports Network, but yeah, bullpen definitely the main focus for the Yankees right now.
Oh, Corey, man, you roboted so hard at the end there. Oh,
Sorry, man. I'm trying.
no, it's all good. You were fighting for your life for a little bit. I was going to chime in earlier, but it cleared up, and then it got real bad right there at the end. For those who missed it, Corey said he did a piece where the Phillies trade proposal, Phillies sending two prospects. I think it was Aiden Miller and Eduardo Tait to the Twins for either Duran or Jax, right? So I think it was for Duran specifically. So, Corey, on that note, because I don't want you to run into that again, I appreciate your time, man. Any last words? Obviously, we know we can follow you at Corey_Nido here on Twitter. Any last words? Hopefully not robotic words before we let you go.
No, I'm good. Thanks for having me on and follow along. Appreciate all those who follow me already and looking forward to finishing up the Philly season and getting ready for the Eagles coverage.
Clear as day that time. Thanks so much, Corey. Corey Nido, everybody, thank you so much. A little round of applause for Corey. Like we said, you can catch his stuff at Corey_Nido at Philly Sports Network. He is a wonderful lead writer for the Eagles staff. So if you want to get yourself all eagled up, go check his stuff out there. And obviously, he is a wonderful contributor focusing on minor leagues, but he's been in the box for us, in the booth, rather, a few times for us for the Philly squad as well. Appreciate everything. I wanted to ask him one more question because there was I saw today a potential, I don't know if it was a rumor, or if it was just something like, hey, this could be something that works for all parties. This probably takes them out. It was Trent Grisham to the Phillies, Willie Castro from the Twins up to the Yankees, and then some prospects going from the Phillies to the Twins. Would not be top prospects, as he mentioned, for Griffin, Jax, or Johan Duran. So interesting take there. I think that was from John Heyman. Interesting take. But clearly the deadline is heating up, folks. So for the Phillies staff, our plan is any Phillies trade that happens, we will be doing a quick short. We'll throw that up on social media for everybody to react live. And then next week's Alley Talk, we're going to be doing a normal episode on Friday. If we can get a crew together Thursday, we may do a very short, about a half-hour episode just reacting to NL East and specifically Phillies trades right as the deadline closes, 6 p.m. on Thursday. So stay tuned to @PhiladelphiaSN, and we will tell you that schedule as we get closer to Thursday. I'm definitely going to have our full recap Friday, and then again, shorts and reels for any trades that happen between now and then. Things are heating up over these last couple days. Like we just mentioned, Yankees acquired Ryan McMahon from the Rockies. The Mets made a trade earlier today acquiring former Philly Gregory Soto for two of their prospects. One prospect in their top 30. I think he was ranked 19th overall, but two pitchers going back to Baltimore for Mr. Gregory Soto. Soto has pitched really well against lefties. I know that obviously nobody has the three hitter rule is still in place, so he may have to face a righty eventually. But swinging in the box, lefties this season have a 138, 271, 276 slash line against him. He's fanned 27.5% of opponents, but an 11.3% walk rate, which is right around his career high. He can pump 97 with the four-seamer and the sinker, so still can be dangerous. And with the Phillies having Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper in the middle of that lineup, could be a nasty weapon for the Mets if they face off again in the postseason. Other trades made so far, who was it? Somebody traded. Obviously, we know about the Devers trade to San Francisco, and then Josh Naylor. That's what I was thinking of. Pardon me. Josh Naylor traded from the Diamondbacks up to the Northwest to Seattle to join the Mariners. They have been piecing things together over at first base this season, but to see them add an impact bat like him is big for them. So we mentioned Eugenio Suarez, and he's a guy that I want to mention because he's come up some recently in Phillies trade talks with Alec Boehm being hurt. The plan currently is for Alec Boehm to stay through the weekend in Philadelphia, see how he feels, and rejoin the club, I believe, in Chicago. So we'll see what happens as far as how he's progressing. Dave Dombrowski has come out and said that Boehm's injury will not impact their decision to make moves at the deadline. They feel confident he's going to come back just fine. Fractured rib on the left side after getting hit by a pitch in the San Diego series right before the All-Star break. He's one of their better hitters. And there's going to be a lot of competition for Suarez. I think most of the potential interest in Suarez has come from Phillies fans more than it has experts who were tuned in. I think the latest, Jim Bowden for The Athletic wrote something about before this McMahon trade about the Yankees being the number one team to go for it. The Tigers, the Cubs, they could use some third base help. The Brewers, if they want to get froggy a little bit and really take over that NL Central. And then the Seattle Mariners, which rumors are that even trading for Naylor, it has not impacted their ability or their interest rather in a reunited Eugenio Suarez move. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Obviously, he's going to be a big name to pay attention to. Another rumor that popped up, and Destiny LaGuardo over at Phillies Nation, she posted something earlier today that was interesting to me. Not, again, John Heyman's piece on the New York Post, not something that I think the Phillies are actively shopping, but Nick Castellanos, because of the contract, his name continues to jump around in trade talks. And if the Phillies were to potentially make multiple moves, apparently because he has another year of control and the Royals consider themselves not that far off despite their struggles this season, they would consider Nick Castellanos in a move if he's available. Now, I think that he's always been in trade talks just because of the contract and because of the Phillies standing over that fourth tax threshold. He's hitting .269 with a .742 OPS. He's the best OPS of the Phillies outfielders. Been having a really good season. He does really well in August. He's been Mr. Consistency all season long, and a great veteran leader for that club. I think that you would have to see a lot of crazy unexpected moves for them to do that. And I don't think they're big on messing with the clubhouse dynamic that much. So it would be a surprise to me to see him move. Obviously, it would have to be part of much bigger deals for that to occur, at least from my perspective. Some other names to keep in mind: Adolis Garcia. He's been hitting the ball pretty well, still a down overall season. A guy who's been rumored to be on the trade market the last few seasons, Luis Robert Jr., really strong glove in center field. His average is really low, but he's been hitting the ball very well in July. I think some people are a little worried that he's mentally, he's just not ready to perform on the big stage. Could it be that he's bored in Chicago because they're playing so poorly? Maybe, but do you want somebody who's going to take that attitude? I don't know how that would fit. I think there's enough veterans in this locker room where the Phillies shouldn't be concerned about that. If they think that they can get him for a decent price, they should go ahead and pursue, because it's still, you're not losing anything with the glove in center field. He steals a lot of bags. He does have pop, so if he can be the sixth option in this lineup and really turn it on in the second half, I wouldn't want to give up much for him if I'm the Phillies. But if you can get him on the cheap, a lot of people may be thinking the same way, though. So obviously, you're talking about still getting in a bidding war with some folks. It might not be a crazy bidding war, but I don't think you're talking Aiden Miller, Mick Abel, those, or the aforementioned Justin Crawford. I don't think you're talking that level, but maybe Arun Escobar. And is that too much for the Phillies to give up? So we'll have to see. But I think the big move, and they've talked about this all season, will be going after bullpen. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. Every single team that's in contention needs bullpen help. It just happens. Nobody's bullpen is perfect. Everybody wants to make improvements in the margins if they can, even if they feel really confident and comfortable with who they have at their disposal. So Phillies, they're going to have some tough competition for bullpen pieces. If they can get a controllable piece at the end of that bullpen, a lockdown piece, if you will, a la Clase or Duran, someone of that ilk, I think that you could be looking at one of those bigger names that we mentioned. Don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. Make sure you're following Philly Sports Network everywhere, right? Philly Sports Net over on Blue Sky, at Philadelphia SN on Twitter, X. You can find me at Kyle Fisher 45 on X and on Blue Sky. Our team will be cutting some shorts, doing live trade reactions. So if the Phillies do make any trades, keep it locked onto our socials because we will have some things ready to go for you. Next week, we will tweet out the official time, but we'll likely be doing a live reaction show to the trade deadline. right here on YouTube. We will be doing our normal Friday show on Alley Talk right here on YouTube, right here on X. So keep it locked in, everybody. We appreciate your time today. We've given you a lot of thoughts on the trade deadline these last couple seasons. So I want to make sure these last couple weeks, rather. So I want to make sure that we spare you the repeat stuff, since there's not a whole lot of new information out there. And we will dive in this week. So keep it locked in here to Philly Sports Network. Appreciate everybody's time. Appreciate everybody giving us love in the comments on Twitter and everything. And appreciate, once again, Corey for joining us. Make sure you give him a follow as well for all your Phillies and Eagles needs. We love you guys. Stay healthy. Stay tuned in to Philly Sports Network. And we will talk to you soon.